You're listening to the Loving Your Own Soul podcast, and I'm your host, Britt Olson. Guided by my own intuition, my intention is to deliver genuine conversations centered around health and wellness, spirituality, self-expression, and culture. In this space, I will provide you with real-life stories, theories, and inspiring perspectives to help you uncover and tap into your own true potential. I'm so grateful you've chosen to tune in with me on this mindful exploration to living a more fluid life through a deeper connection to the soul. Now let's dive into today's journey. Welcome to Season 2. Welcome to 2021. What an exciting time of year it is. For those of you who are new here, I'm your host, Britt Olson, and I'm also a certified holistic health coach through the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. I'm a generator by human design. My astrology signs are an Aries sun, Sagittarius moon, Cancer rising, and an Aquarius north node. I'm a nature lover and a sunset stalker, which that may sound a little bit weird, but it's honestly true. I love nothing more than honoring the sunset and starting my day with the sunrise. I love fruit, and I will tell you right now, you are probably not eating enough fruit. Truth. And I love the water, which actually my holistic wellness company, Ambu, stands for water in Sanskrit English or Ayurvedic medicine terms. So there's a fun fact for you. Ambu means water. And I believe that just as water must be kept in balance here on Earth, we too, as human beings, must also be kept in balance. And my goal is to help others do just that. Live a life in balance. Which, speaking of balance, I really encourage all of you to take it slow right now. Yes, it is a very exciting energy with the new year, but we are also in the middle of winter. And I know that the holidays can be really tiring. Actually, sometimes it can be one of the most tiring parts of the year. And it's just really important to listen to yourself right now. You know, we had a big year this last year, a lot of unknowns, a lot of new experiences, and it's okay to just kind of sit back and digest right now. Take it slow. You know, winter time is meant for hibernation and self-care and honoring ourselves. So do that right now. Definitely don't, you don't need to set all your goals right now. And I actually personally, I wait a couple weeks to create my vision board for the year. Simply just so I can really, like I said, digest the previous year, look ahead to what I'm calling in, what's important to me, gain some clarity, and also just build my new vision board and intentions for the year when I'm at a point when I'm feeling energized and excited and not feeling drained or like it's something that I have to do. Because setting your intentions and planning and manifesting and all the exciting aspects that come with a new beginning, it should be fun. It's important to have fun. And, honestly, to that point, if you do anything this year, let's have some fun. Let's all focus on calling in more joy and more love into our lives. I've always said, if you aren't having fun, what is the point? And honestly, sometimes I've needed to take my own advice at that too, but I really mean it. Lean towards joy this year. Where can you add more joy into your life? What situation can you add joy to? Or even can you see an uncomfortable situation through the lens of more love? In what ways can you add more love right now? And if you haven't asked yourself this recently, are you having fun? Are you enjoying your life? And if your answer is anything short of hell yes, then I encourage you to take a moment, take a breath, even pause this podcast right now, and really reflect on why not, and what can you do to start making those changes. I recently just finished Gabby Bernstein's The Universe Has Your Back book, which this is not an ad. This is just one of my most favorite expanders and vision holders. I absolutely love Gabrielle Bernstein. If you're not familiar with her, definitely go check her out. But also, The Universe Has Your Back is a very powerful book, which I highly recommend you add to your reading list for this year. This was actually my second time reading it, but as I was finishing it a couple days ago, a final passage near the end just really stood out to me, and I wanted to read it as I felt like it just makes so much sense for right now in our current lifetime of January 2021. So, reading from The Universe Has Your Back by Gabby Bernstein. The more love you bring to the world, the more you will inspire others to live in love. Then they will do the same. This ripple effect of love is what changes patterns, creates peaceful revolutions, and ends wars. You may feel that your power is lost in the hands of some insane CEO, terrorist, or fear-based world leader. It's not. Your power lies in your capacity to spread love. I love that. I'm just going to read that last line one more time. Your power lies in your capacity to spread love. One simple word, but a hell of a big meaning. That's for sure. So anyway, all right, season 2 of the podcast, we are back and I am so excited. And today's episode, so this is the first episode of season 2. If you are new here, definitely go back and check out season 1 as I had some phenomenal guests and just so many incredible stories and journeys that I had the honor of sharing in this last year. But to properly kick off season 2, we are actually going to feature me today, yours truly. One of my new favorite people who just started working with me actually thought of this idea and thought that it would be a really fun way to kick off the new year by flipping the mic on me. So today you get to hear me get interviewed by my newest friend, Alice, for a very soulful conversation to open this new season, year, and just lay out some of my intentions moving forward. You know, this year I'm calling in more consciousness, conscious awareness, if you will. And to me, this episode does just that. I hope you enjoy it. And without further ado, let's get over to today's episode. Alice, welcome to the Loving Your Own Soul podcast. We are officially kicking off season 2 of the podcast with 2021, our first episode of the new season, the new year. Such a fun time right now. For those who are not familiar, you have actually just started working with me and you are, oh my gosh, you're just such a bright light, such a wealth of knowledge. You are phenomenal. I cannot wait to watch your journey just continue throughout your lifetime to do something fun and to help others as well as yourself understand my story a little bit better. We are actually going to flip the mic and you are going to interview me today, which I'm really so excited. It's so fun to be interviewed compared to always being the interviewer. So thank you and welcome.
Thank you so much. I love that introduction. Thank you. Yeah, it is fun to change the scenery sometimes. And really those questions kind of came to me while we were working together, while I was, looking at your Instagram and listening to a couple of your podcasts. And, season 2, it's, new beginnings. And a lot of people, most likely won't have time to listen to all of them. So I feel like this interview is going to be a little bit of like introduction and like questions that a lot of people may have will be answered. So I think this is just a great idea. And thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to be a part of this.
Yeah, thank you. I love that you are so willing to do this as well. It's really fun and to help paint the picture for others too. So I love, I've just loved getting to know you a little bit. And you are, so for me, I don't believe that to me, age is like just a number. I've always struggled with age my whole life. Whenever I was certain ages, I always felt like I was light years above that number and how you're supposed to act and everything. And you are such a mirror to me of how I was. You just remind me a lot of myself in my younger years and things like that. And you definitely feel light years beyond your age and you're such an old soul. So I love that. Per when you were born, you're quite young. However, you are so much wiser than your number and labels. So I love that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's nice that you brought up age because actually, one of my questions, the first question really is kind of about age and like light years and all of that. So many people have discovered their like spiritual side like they have a backstory as to why they did so, because obviously a lot of people don't know that, and they just believe in like one deity or like God, and like they go to church, and basically what is considered normal for most people. And so do you really have that story that like you kind of came to the spiritual side, or were you always drawn to it?
Yeah, I love this question so much. It's such a fun question. So for me, I have really been drawn to the spiritual side my entire life. However, when I was younger, I didn't quite know how to like pinpoint it or what I was feeling drawn to, just because all the tools and things that are out there now, it wasn't as available when I was younger, even though there still was a lot that is available. So for me, really, organized religion, for lack of a better word, but just kind of the structure of it wasn't something that really spoke to me. I enjoyed going to church in the sense of being around a group of people. I always thought like the music was kind of fun, learning, like kind of having that nice sermon, but the actual words that were being dispersed wasn't something that I felt super attached to. And I kind of got like confused, I guess you could say. And it wasn't that I was never not religious, because I enjoyed the pieces of it. It was just the specific verbiage and the structure of it that I was like, it just wasn't that like.
The message was kind of off.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, absolutely.
And then as kids, we would have Bible school to go to, and what is it? I think like after on Sunday, you'd go to something. Anyway, just different things that I was always like, I just never felt attached to it. And I think my parents could tell that as well. Like, I love Christmas Eve service. I think Christmas Eve service is one of my most favorite things.
Absolutely.
It's so fun. And then like Easter, growing up on the beach, Easter Sunday, the town always did a sunrise service. And I like worship the sun, sunrise, sunset during the day. So every Easter we would always go to a sunrise service. And that too, I was like, oh my gosh, I love this. So like Christmas Eve and Easter Sunday sunrise on the beach, I was like, this is the best thing ever. Everything else in between didn't really call for it. I actually had a few friends who were Jewish growing up, and I became super interested and fascinated in the Jewish religion and was really curious about learning more through them. So you can kind of see that I've always been super curious. And to that point, I just always felt so connected going to nature, whether it was going out, surfing in the ocean, being at the beach, watching the sunset, breathing in that fresh air, looking at the trees, looking at the colors of the sky, the ocean, just like all of the naturalness of nature is what spoke to me. Yeah, like so hard. So that's where I feel like my spiritual side was really coming out, even though I didn't have the right tools for it. And as a kid, I was obsessed with archaeology and rocks and crystals and stones. And it wasn't until like kind of recent years that I was like, oh, no wonder I was so obsessed with that stuff, because that's like,
why.
Exactly.
That's my thing.
Totally. So it's so funny the way it goes. And then upon as well, just the term God wasn't a term that really stuck with me. I would pray at night, and I really loved that. One of the things whenever I was little, we did little like prayers before we would go to bed. And I guess I came up with my own, is how I believe my mom describes the story, where I would say, thank you, God, for God. And it was something that I started, and my family loved it. And they were like, that is so cute that she does this. But now in looking backwards, I realized that that was my like universal way of just saying, thank you, universe, for you. Thank you for this. Thank you for this day. And I had this like unconscious gratitude practice ever since I was a little kid. And I just think that piece of it is so funny now, understanding. And then I discovered yoga. I guess it was right before college, but fully got into yoga in college, or started doing more of it in college. And that's where I feel like the full spiritual side really opened up, and understanding that there is something more, and you can carve your path and find what sticks for you. And it's okay to believe in what sticks for you. It's not that the others aren't relevant or that I don't believe in them. I do. It's just that they don't align with me, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Yes, I love that answer. That's so interesting. You know, yours and my journey kind of align. It is really, really interesting. Going back to what you said about like Christmas Eve, but also Easter morning. Like if you think about it, Easter morning is really not that kind of organized religion kind of thing. Like it was borrowed because like from the goddess Ostara, and like really like going to the beach in the morning, like that's not really what organized religion is like about. It's really more on the spiritual side that was adopted by the Christian church.
So true.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
So that's really that's a very interesting observation. And yeah, it's really cool how you were always really drawn to it. And yeah, not everybody has to have like a specific story. That's so cool.
And to that point as well, if you are listening and you are someone where organized religion does speak to you or certain terms and things like that, like that's amazing. We all are believing in the same energy field. It's all the same thing. It's just really different terms and ways of going about it as well. So it's not that I'm
absolutely
against any of it. I have a lot of friends who are practicing very heavily in the Christian faith and everything, and I love that. And it's funny because our conversations were really talking about the same thing, more or less. We're just using different terminology. So
yes, absolutely. And you know, all religions are welcome and everybody's free to believe, you know, whatever they feel like believing. And you know, we're definitely not forcing anybody to believe in anything. And really, I just think that a lot of organized religion is a lot of times being forced upon people, and it doesn't give a chance for people to discover their own path. And it kind of like forces them into that little box. So that's why I think it's important to really talk about, you know, other ways to go about it.
Absolutely. I feel like it kind of segregates in terms of, oh, you follow this religion or this religion or this religion. And it's like, no, we don't have to, you know, feel that way. We're all one. We're all one and the same. And to that point too, like I also love studying and learning about the different religions that are out there.
Absolutely. Yes.
Especially like Buddhism and Hinduism. And there's just so much out there. And like I said, Judaism, like there's just so much out there. I think is so fascinating as well.
Oh yes, absolutely. Well, the next question, I guess, you talked a lot about like discovering your own path. How do you think really like the word awakening and the definition of that word, like what does awakening mean to you? What do you think sometimes being like, you don't really understand that you are awakening, but you really are. And then you look back on it and you're like, oh my God, that period of time was really interesting. And now I really understand why so many crazy things have been happening. What is your relationship with that word and like, the meaning of it?
Yes. So I love the word awakening. It's so funny. So I'm going to do my best to articulate this, but one of my goals going into this new year is to stop myself from trying to like think about how to say the things I want to say and to just say them from the heart. So I'm not going to filter myself. And if you don't understand what I'm saying, I apologize, but I think it'll make more sense. So anyway,
I totally do.
Yeah. So the word awakening has almost like different levels inside of it, in my opinion. And I feel that the word is also a lot stronger and broader than maybe the surface level definition. Like it's kind of, oh, awakening. Well, that sounds like a fun word. Cool. I want to be awake. Like I want to be woken up. I want to be woke, etc. But really the awakening process is kind of what reminds me of like a flower going from a seedling to growing and bursting out through the earth, because it's like you have to go through and sit in all of that darkness and the lessons and really then push yourself out of that without forcing yourself at the same time. It's really surrendering to the natural growth process, being able to sit in the ebbs and flows of life, and instead of trying to force and control, and when a situation comes up that you're like, ooh, that scares me, that makes me feel something, I want to crawl inside, or I want to put walls up, or whatever it is, the process of awakening is being able to really kind of have like a detached emotion to those moments that come up, and being able to surrender and let yourself just move through them. And the more that we're able to move through the situations that life throws at us, move through the stormy seas, get to the calm water that's just on the other side of that stormy sea, the further that we'll be able to continue to awaken and to awaken more and more and more. I also kind of always felt like spiritual awakening I always felt that it was kind of like a one-time thing. And like, oh, you become awakened and then you're awakened and that's that. But as I'm learning, that's a journey and that's an evolution. And there's really no one awakening. The awakening is the continued evolution. And it's that first time opening your eyes and understanding that there is something more out there. There's something more than these feelings of even just anxiety or depression, or channeling that need to drink a lot of alcohol because you feel that there's another feeling out there. You're just going about it at there's no wrong way to go about things, but you're just taking a different route, not understanding that there's a softer route. Like so I believe in destiny and fate, and that our soul is on a journey in this lifetime, and that we're going somewhere, and that we're always going to be going to that same place. Just some roads will be a little bit easier, others are going to be a little bit harder, but we're going to continue going down that path. Now, there is also free will of the human experience. So that's where that free will comes in, where, okay, we might take the harder road, we might take the easier road because we have choices and things like that. But to your question, yeah, awakening is an evolution. And for me, there's so much depth to that word outside of kind of like surface level term that we know it to be. This past weekend, I had another little awakening that I didn't know was going to happen. And it was amazing. And I've opened up, in the last 7 days, I've cracked myself open so much deeper than I didn't realize that I still had like more to go. I knew that I did, but it wasn't.
Absolutely. Yes. That's amazing. And really, there's so much depth and so much meaning. And I think everybody has like a different understanding of the word. So it's really interesting to hear about, your journey. And really, if you think about it, again, going back to Easter morning, like awakening in itself, the word, like if you're not on the spiritual side of things, when you think about like awakening, you're thinking, awakening on the, a Christmas morning or a Sunday morning, and just, having that new breath of like fresh air and going and kind of aligning with yourself. And I think really, how you talked about, that this is a process, and like it kind of goes into, every day, like you have a chance of being awakened, and like every day you can go deeper and deeper and deeper about it, and you really never stop learning like about yourself and like learning yourself as well as others and the universe, because universe is endless. Like we will never understand, there's no end to it.
Absolutely.
And all we can do is just try to go as deep as we can.
And to that point too, you just reminded me as well, as you were speaking, I was having this vision of, those like slow motion videos that might be on National Geographic, or maybe it's like a commercial where you see like, I think it's like a lotus flower, maybe, or a lily or something, where you see it like slowly keep like opening and opening.
I love those.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's what reminded me as you were speaking. And then to that point, like the multi-dimensional piece of it, like if you're awakening on Easter morning or Christmas morning or every single Sunday, 52 weeks a year, or every single day we wake up, like we have a new day a new opportunity. And then we have
Exactly.
the lunar cycles, the monthly cycle on the calendar year, the yearly cycles. Like
Absolutely.
it's just this continuous, I don't know, journey,
Process.
evolution
Yeah,
process.
journey.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes. It's amazing. I mean, for me, a lot of times, like last week, when one of my coworkers left my, the office where I work at, and it was kind of dirty, and I always knew that that was gonna happen. But like every day, I was like, I'm hopeful, that that's not gonna happen. But then when it happened, it really cleaned up so much of that dirty energy, and I kind of had a little awakening myself, because I understood how much I've grown as a person in a couple of years. Because like a couple of years ago, I would think that that behavior wasn't crazy, and like that was okay, and like now I understand how really bad it is, and like I can feel the release of all of that. And I feel like release can also be like kind of a synonym to an awakening, like for me personally, because you release the old and you allow the new to come in, and you just raise to that new vibration, and you let go of the old one.
Absolutely. And you're also, when you're releasing, I'm so glad you brought that up, because I have been releasing and shedding so much just in this past week leading up to this conversation. And when we're releasing and letting go, we're creating space to bring in more of what is aligned and what makes sense to us. And it's kind of like not being fearful of change or releasing things, because when you release, you create an openness to receive what is next for you. And even in that situation, I love to, we're often hear about and are taught how individuals come to us as we're mirroring each other constantly, but we're also witnessing experiences all the time, such as you with that coworker, that situation that individual was going through, shone a light on you and your journey and where you're standing. And while it was uncomfortable to witness, you were then given a little gift back to you of, wow, look at where I am. And it's just so beautiful. And then to that point as well is the fact that like there's no coincidences. It's all divine synchronicities, and everything is happening for us, is what I believe. Even the fact that, so we were supposed to record this a week ago, didn't work out with scheduling and things, and could have pushed through and said, no, it's fine, we have this scheduled, we have to like do this right now. But instead it was like, hey, it's not working out, can we reschedule? Yes, let's do it. We were supposed to record the day before today as well, and then you had a little time thing, and again could have like push through, okay, let's rush there, let's get it done. But it was like, when feels better. And sitting here with you today, it feels so aligned. And I'm like, of course it couldn't have worked out until this morning. I'm actually getting goosebumps as I'm talking. So
absolutely. Like yesterday was just a crazy day, and today I woke up and I was like, oh my God, I'm so excited for this. Like, I'm ready. Let's go. Like,
yep.
Yes.
Oh, I love that so much. And that's, again, another little awakening that we just experienced as we try to release that like expectation of force, so to say. And like, oh, well, this was, and you don't want to be constantly rescheduling your whole life. Like, that's not okay. Like, there's certain things that you're not, it's kind of understanding the difference of that. But as well in this situation of, hey, we don't always have to push. We can surrender and flow and kind of trust that we're being guided to a more timelier time period. I don't know if that's a real word.
And I think it also, depends on the situation, because like, you and I were just, talking, having an interview, but the questions are really, they're supposed to flow. So I feel like anything that is being forced is not gonna go the way that we want it to. And so I feel like in those situations, it is really, really important to like listen to yourself and listen to the universe, and just understand when it's like not aligning with you.
100%. Yes.
I think it's also really interesting that we're talking about this and, shedding kind of shedding the old vibrations and your old skins at the end of the year, and not just at the end of any year, at the end of like 2020. That's crazy. This year has been a lot, and I think there's a lot of shedding that everybody has been doing and like that needs to be done. A lot of people say that like 2020 was meant to happen, and I totally agree with that, because there are just so many things that have happened over the past 10 years that are just like building up and are very heavy. And so I think we're going through like a collective awakening.
Yeah.
And what do you like, we talked about a personal awakening, but what do you think about that kind of collective awakening? I don't want to go too political, but on the day that Joe Biden was elected president, everybody, you know, without talking about it, just came outside and celebrated. And how do you think that really influences us as a whole, like as a nation or as a particular community?
Yes, I completely agree that 2020 was supposed to happen for sure, especially just, I mean, astrologically from that perspective. And I'm not an astrologer. I know enough to be dangerous, so to say, but not enough to speak eloquently on it. But there was a lot of predictions, people understanding. There's also some spiritual teachers and people out there who understood and received messages that a lot of this was supposed to be happening. And to that point, I also know that people have then questioned it, and people are like, what? If people knew, why did nobody tell us this was going to happen? And it's like, because that's not how life is supposed to work. And we're all going at our own free will as well. So while we can receive messages and know that this is what's going to happen, it's really not an exact highlight as to what is going to happen, because we're all humans with our own free will, and we can jack things up and alter experiences as well. And to that point, just like anything in life, if you know, you're not supposed to know what's to come. You're just not. You're not supposed to know that tomorrow when you go for, I don't know, a Sunday run in the park, you're going to meet the love of your life. That's not how it happens. So to that point as well, I just feel like in a lot of conversations, 2020, like we all needed to slow down as a collective society. Everyone was like screaming for it, itching for it, but yet nobody could make it happen. Like nobody could do it. And then suddenly, boom, we are all just forced into
forced to do it. Yeah.
Granted, there's been a lot of hardship, and I don't want to discredit any of that that has taken this year. However, as humans and this experience, I believe personally that when we're able to see and experience and witness contrasting situations, we're able to appreciate the next situation that much harder. And it's kind of almost very similar to like hitting a rock bottom, so to say. When you've hit the depths and despair and the darkness, as you emerge out of that, the light and everything is so much brighter. The amount of love, the gratitude, like, I mean, even a breakup, for instance, like when you're going through a breakup, like it's similar psychologically to someone passing away, because you were with them, they were your everything, 24/7, et cetera, et cetera. I don't need to go into it. We all know that feeling. I'm sure as I'm speaking, you're immediately taken to that point where you had your heart broken. And with that though, eventually time goes on and suddenly you feel that veil lift and you're like, yes, like I don't feel it anymore. This is amazing. Or you meet somebody else and then that person, you have the butterflies and the excitement and all of that all over again. And then you look back on that hurt and you're like, wow, that was so painful, but this is a million times better. Yeah. And it's just like having that duality and understanding. And I believe as a collective, we had as, I believe it's Glennon Doyle who writes about this in Untamed, but she calls it the uncovering in order to recover. And that verbiage makes so, and she wrote about this not knowing what was to come. This was about,
of course,
the collective in general, because the book was published in 2020. But I truly believe that this was the great uncovering. And I believe that we still have more uncovering to do. That as a collective, we've kind of hit maybe an area of a rock bottom-ish. I don't know if this is true rock bottom or not. not to like scare anyone. I don't know. There might be more to come. Again, we don't know what's to come. But at the same time, the more that we can open things up, get in there, dig deep, get dirty, understand the truth and the realities, we can then all recover and come together and understand that we are one. We can act from love and grace and compassion, and just the amount of empathy I feel that we all have this year, because it wasn't just like a solo journey. We all had our own like individual journeys and hardships we all went through, but we were all going through it as a collective. Like when else in your life have you ever been like, wow, I'm at my depths in despair, but the entire world is in it with me. Like,
I'm not alone. Like, I'm not alone. Like, everybody's going through this. And like, while I can go through this journey alone, I can also share it with others and like help others understand it as well as help myself understand it.
And at what other point in time would this to take place where technology is where it's at, and we have Zoom and this ability to all, go on lockdown, so to say, yet we can continue communicating with each other almost pretty as close as possible to no differently than how we were, maybe this time last year in 2019.
Absolutely. Yes.
So,
but I think it also gives like so much appreciation for as when you will be able to like go back. And because obviously everybody's very grateful for Zoom and Skype and all of those things and FaceTime, but we cherish our in-person meetings that much more because of it. And like you said, breakups and deaths, and there's been so much just bad things happening. Like, we appreciate every day that we have with the people we love just so much more. And we, I think it's very important to understand that like any day can be the last day. And so you really have to, make the best of it every single day.
Absolutely. I actually was thinking of that. I don't know, a couple weeks ago, maybe I got like, there was like dirty dishes left in the sink or something. And I was like, like I got so frustrated, and I was like, I have to be the one that, just like a very human frustration. And then I was like, wait a second, if this was like my last day here on earth, am I really going to be upset about like 2 dirty plates in the sink? That's going to take me 25 seconds to clean, maybe a minute to clean. Like, why am I getting like who literally cares? So it was just kind of funny. One other thing too that I did just want to make mention of as well is appreciating the ebbs and flows of life, and like knowing that when like those hills and valleys, so to say, and like when we're in a valley, understanding that it's going to come up. Like, we're supposed to ebb and flow. It's not this like perfect one-sided calm water forever, because you can appreciate both sides of that. So I feel that, you mentioned politically when Joe Biden won, everybody came out and celebrated and everything like that. And it was just kind of like, woohoo, like it was a very celebration of hope and a lifting of what has been a dark period per the information that we've been told. But I also think that there are like certain people placed here to shake things up and uncover and again, show us a darkness and some realities that we hadn't been able to see before. To that point though, I feel like just as a collective, not like pinpointing individuals. I mean, I do this myself as well. We always want that like magic pill, and that like show me the perfect diet that I can do for the rest of my life and everything.
Absolutely.
The perfect body, I'll be in great health, everything. But like, that's not life. It's supposed to change. So while there is a lot of hope for the future, I also encourage people to not get their hopes up and put so much pressure on one individual making a lot of change. I do think there's going to be a lot of change. However, if there is supposed to be more uncovering or just more, I do feel that the veil is lifting and that we will become stronger and go through more. And I'm so excited for just what the future holds. I feel that hope, but I feel like sometimes just we as humans accidentally, I think it's like a human thing. We put a lot of pressure on like, oh, this is going to save the day. This will be the one thing, and then everything will change. And like, we're going to have those ebbs and flows. So just like New Year's, like, oh, it's the new year, I'm going to set all these resolutions and goals, and we put so much pressure on ourselves, and then it's like so much pressure a couple weeks later, we're like, I can't handle it. So I feel like same thing, just as the US with presidents and things like that, is like there's so much hope and possibility, but now it's the accountability, and it's up to the individuals and those in power to really stand behind their word and show us, and as a collective as well, again, not putting just pressure on one person, on us to continue the growth in our appreciation, and just really all working to be the best that we can be, with always looking at the greater good for all. You have to put your oxygen mask on first, but you also have to have that foresight of how things are affecting everyone around you, because we all are dancing together, really. It's really just a big dance. As humans, we want to naturally grow and to experience change. However, it's the fear of taking conscious action on these wants that keeps us stuck, keeping us unconsciously attached to an imbalanced life, attached to the habits and comfort that pain, suffering, fear, resentment, and limitations of our current realities provide to us. Whereas in reality, our true home, our real home, resides in a world of balance, a world we are aware of, yet also free of anything that no longer serves us. For balance is the key to life. Balance is the aim of all living creatures. We are all alive and living right now in this moment. Our earth is also alive. Our beautiful earth is mostly made up of water, and we too, as human beings, are made up primarily of water. Wherever there is water, there is life. And just as water must be kept in balance here on earth, we as human beings must also be kept in balance. After much discovery and witness to life's experiences, I created Ambu, a modern holistic wellness company. Ambu is a company designed to truly realign you on a mind, body, and soul level. Through my holistic wellness practice, my intention is to guide you to a more rightful and truthful way of living. A simple guide that complements and enhances where you are right now. Real change happens from within and is the key to not only transforming yourself, but your experience of the world around you. Together, I will work with you to uncover your why, adopt sustainable practices for long-lasting lifestyles, and expand to your fullest potential. Our lives, and especially the world of health and wellness, has gotten far too complicated over the years. Through my work with Ambu, I strip it all back to the beginning of time, back to the basics, in order to bring you full circle, not to a new self, but back to the essence of yourself, your one and only authentic self. Ambu offers a variety of programs and resources, each built with intention to target how unique we all truly are. We offer a 9-week wellness program called Life in Balance, which is a snapshot of our larger 6-month program, where we will open the doors to longevity, new possibilities, happiness, the power of plants, and your total well-being. We will focus on all areas of your health, from what you are eating and why you are consuming certain foods to what's happening off your plate. This program is perfect for anyone looking for a new take on life, specific attention on gut and hormone health, mental health, immunity, and even chronic illness. We look at the full picture of your lifestyle, from your sleep, relationships, self-care and daily rituals, spiritual or religious practices, career goals and stress levels, to daily movement and activity. You are a multidimensional being, and it's crucial we keep that in mind at all times. For my 3- and 6-month program participants, one will also receive their very own customized human design blueprint produced by human design guide Becca Daly. Together, through the help of understanding your specific human design, we will be able to even more deeply structure your life in a way that supports how you are naturally designed to operate. It's truly a win-win for all of us involved. And of course, if you are someone who is simply struggling to eat healthier, knows you could be doing something different, yet have no clue where to turn, I've created my Lifestyle Tune-Up, a one-off option for us to find easy swaps, pantry replacements, and help you to better understand what is actually healthy in today's world. Plus, I will leave you with my full guide of preferred brands to shop for and supplement recommendations. All in all, a life well lived is a life that you are able to enjoy. It's time to rediscover your inner calling, your healthiest and brightest you that's been waiting inside of you for all this time. It's time to dust him or her off, and I'd love for Ambu to serve as your guide and accountability partner in this journey. So let's guide you back home to a life in balance through our modern holistic approach to wellness. To learn more, visit us at ambuwellness.com or connect with us on Instagram at ambuwellness, and let's transform together.
A lot of times in life, we have people who help us get to that point. And I really wanted to ask, did you have those people, or did you, was it a really like a personal journey? Like, I know you listen to some podcasts, but more like, friends or, your parents or like somebody in your close circle.
I love this question. It's funny because I was on it literally just reflecting on this like a couple nights ago. So it's so funny. So I have a lot of great teachers from afar and teachers who are published authors or elect to put material out on the internet through blogs or through podcasting, through their own experiences. I have learned so much in that realm, and it's really opened my doors immensely. I mean, I just can't get enough of it. And that's what I love about the podcast space and our digital era is we're able to just be open to receiving so much information, and then we get to select what feels good to us. What internal cues do we get? What do we resonate with, etc. So from that aspect, I have so many teachers and guides all out there. However, personal mentors and teachers, it's funny, so from a career aspect, I've had two really fantastic bosses, so to say, who I've worked for and worked with really early to mid 20s. And then since then, I've never had a super prominent mentor, which is funny. And I was like, I'm really open to that. And I know where I am in my journey right now. I could use that immensely. To that point, though, I do have one teacher here locally who I met. She's a spiritual guide. She does a lot with light codes in other realms and does sound healing, and she's a Reiki master, and she's absolutely phenomenal. Her name is Buffy LaRue, and she will be coming on the podcast as well if she's listening right now.
Crazy.
Yeah, Buffy, I love you so much. But she has really stepped into taking the form of a teacher and mentor for me, just in the fact that she holds a space where I'm able to have a lot of these deeper and bigger conversations and talk with somebody who is on the same wavelength or maybe is on a different wavelength, but is able to meet me where I am and kind of pose each other different questions and just hold these bigger conversations, that it's been equally really refreshing for both of us as well. So I have loved that relationship, and she's really been the first form of like a spiritual mentor who's really come into my life. And then I've also connected with a few others. There's this one woman, which we might even be working together by the time this episode comes out in a couple of weeks. Her name is Lindsay Schroeder with Our and R. She is a intuitive business spiritual coach, does wellness, kind of a whole handful of things. But when I met her, I immediately got this internal download that was like, this is your teacher. So at some point, I know that her and I will be working together as well. So it's funny. I feel like I started answering this question saying, no, I don't have any, but I really do. I felt like for a while I didn't, and was kind of just really doing the reading, listening to the podcast, getting as much through my podcast. I've also been able to connect with a lot of people, and equally to a lot of these people who I love and look up to. We've connected on a personal note underneath of their workings, and we'll message back and forth and have connected online. Absolutely. And I've been able to work with them. But working with, when Buffy came into my life, it was just such a wonderful ability to really have someone to work with, have these bigger conversations and things like that. But then I also don't want to discredit previous healers or readings I've had, because honestly, I've been so inspired by so many people, and I know I likewise do that back as well. So I said no, but
absolutely.
Really I have had a lot, but I do feel here moving forward that I will have just some stronger mentors that will really work with me as we kind of continue to up level and guide each other. And I'm really excited because I've always been someone to, I've been able to get by and do my own thing without having a super strong base of direct mentors. I've always had, those who I look up to and aspire to be, but I've never had that like direct one-on-one too much. And I'm getting more of that. So I love that energy. And I'm really excited to see what happens as I continue just to step into working more one-on-one with teachers.
That's perfect. Yes, that was basically my question because, like we talked before, you have to heal yourself first before, somebody else can help you do that. And I think it's very important that you kind of got to the point where you were ready for, other people to really push you even further than you pushed yourself, which is great. My next question is a little bit more situation based. So we just talked about, mentors and how, people helping other people. But in a particular situations, there are really things that you should like consider before helping somebody. And so my question is, if you have somebody in your life who needs help on really like not financially or anything, but like just getting their like vibrations together and just their life and their relationships, and that you can help them, but you try and it doesn't really work out. At what point you think you should kind of let it go and let the person teach themselves first? And have you ever had that situation in your life?
Such a fun question. Again, I love your questions. I sound like a broken record. Every question, I'm like, that's a great one, but they really are so good. They're also just very reflective of like what's going on right now. So synchronicities, but yes. So first thing I'll say to this is really in the journey, understanding that you can having enough trust in yourself and the other person and their journey, and understanding that we are all on our own individual paths, and that we as individuals cannot control where someone else is going on their own path. We can simply kind of like dangle the fruit, try to give them bits and pieces, all from the best of intentions. However, at the end of the day, they have to be the one to bite the hook and try the fruit and really explore on their own. And it's also their choice to say, oh, thank you for that apple. Wow, I love this apple. This is amazing. And now I'm going to follow down this path. Or that apple wasn't for me, or I'm just not ready to take a bite of that apple. And it doesn't always come as consciously as that. It's more on like a subconscious level. But for me, being a healer and wanting to help the entire world, I mean, it's hard for me because I would give the clothes off my back to anyone. Like I have an ability to see the potential in others. So when they're not sitting in that potential and knowing what they're capable of, and it's so hard to not get internally frustrated acting out of the best of intentions because you want the best for them. But in that process, and as we evolve, really understanding that you did the best you could and that it's their own journey. And then you really just have to surrender it out to the universe, to God, your faith, whoever it is, and know that they're on their path, and whatever path is meant for them in this lifetime is the path that they are going to go down. And what I think is interesting too is like we can have this conversation right now, and I might say something to you that you're not consciously registering, but 6 months from now, you could be in a situation and suddenly that light bulb goes off and you're like, oh my gosh.
Absolutely.
And same thing, like when you're trying to help someone, even if they're not digesting what you're saying then and there, know that at some point they will hear and learn and get the takeaway that they're meant to when they're ready and part of their journey. And that's also what kind of makes it exciting too. Cause like how boring would it be if we were all so streamlined and so receptive and on the same path? Like it's the kinks and the misunderstandings and all of that, like, it makes it fun. It makes it frustrating, but then it makes it fun at the same time. And just the beautiful messiness of it all. So I hope, did that answer the question?
Yes, that's
Cool.
perfect. That's perfect. Yes. And, us speaking about awakening earlier, I think that's a great explanation. Thank you very much. I think a lot of our listeners will be able to relate to that and really like understand what you're talking about, because I definitely do.
Cool. I love that. Yeah. And it comes with time too. I
Absolutely.
was not,
Mhm.
the ability to trust and surrender and practice. And it's always a journey. Like I'm constantly practicing it. It doesn't happen all the
Mhm.
time. I
Yeah.
was just having a conversation with my husband about something and I was like, "Oh, I'm trying so hard, but like it's not being received." And then I was like, "Oh, wait, I just need to step back and trust and know that like they will take what they
Uh-huh.
need at that time." So,
Oh, well, thank you so much. That is it for my questions that I have for now. Obviously, I have 1,001 more questions, but for next time.
I love it. This was so much fun. Well, I love to close all my episodes out with some loving your own soul questions. And I would love for
Mhm.
everyone to get to know you a little bit better, Alice, yourself. So if you don't mind, we will flip the script here and I will now ask you some questions to close out.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Go ahead.
So, to start out with, do you know from an astrological perspective your sun, moon, and rising sign? And if you don't know all three,
Yes.
that's okay too.
Oh, no, I do. So I'm a Libra sun, Gemini rising, and a Pisces
Cool. Oh,
moon.
I love
Quite a
that.
mix.
Yeah, that's a fun combination. That's really fun. We'll have to look up a little bit more about your Gemini rising later. But yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah. It's fun.
I love that. I have so many Libras in my life. I've had a lot come into my life
Oh.
recently, which has been fun. And my mom's a
Oh.
Libra, so I always have a soft spot for Libras. So so fun. Next question. Do you prefer to celebrate your own birthday or plan someone else's birthday?
It's actually very interesting that you ask that. Most people don't know. I moved to the US only 6 years ago, and my birthday was always kind of a weird day. It's in October. It's actually October 1st. And I mean, the date is kind of weird, but we'll talk about that later. But it was always like in school, and we always celebrated as a class, and then we did something after school, and it was fun, and I always loved my birthday. But then when I moved here, I really dreaded the day, because it would remind me of all the things that I lost, and like I was in a really like bad place when I moved here. But this year was actually the first birthday that I really enjoyed. So to answer the question, right now, because like I missed out on 5 or 6 birthdays, I would celebrate my own birthday like on the day that I was born, like on 1st of October. But I'm always up for planning somebody's birthday. I love giving gifts. So I guess the answer is a little complicated, because it really depends. Like if there's somebody else's birthday on the same day, I would like combine the birthdays. But any other day of the year, you can totally come to me and I will plan you an amazing birthday that you will absolutely love.
So fun. I love that so much. That's awesome. To that point, do you have a favorite age thus far in your life?
Right now.
Cool. Fun. Such a fun answer.
Yes, right now. No, yeah, I would not. I have, I'm very excited to what's coming next, but I'm also very happy as to where I am right now.
I love that. What is one of your favorite like Russian either traditional meals or cuisines or something like that?
Pilmeni is definitely one of them. So it's like a piece of meat, ground beef combined with like bread and eggs and all of that in a piece of dough,
Mm.
and you like freeze them and then you cook them, and it's just really easy, and you eat them with sour cream, and it's just like filling, so you don't have to eat a lot, and it's really good. And it's also like making them is really fun, because so my grandma always had like a tradition where everybody would get together, like she would invite her friends and then my mom would invite friends, and we would sit in this giant table, and because it takes time and it's like a very careful process, and it's much more fun to do it together. So it's really like an event. You get together and you make them and then you eat them. So yeah.
Yum. That sounds so good. I will have to, maybe whenever I see you, we'll have to make those or something. That would be really fun. Sounds delicious. If you could get on an airplane and travel anywhere in the world right now, where would you go?
Russia. I haven't been since we came here, and
Oh, wow.
I miss it tremendously. So if I could go anywhere in the world, I would go there.
Cool.
Especially like Christmas time, I really like miss it. I miss the snow. I miss my friends and just that feeling. So yeah.
Yeah.
But I would honestly go like anywhere in the world. I absolutely love to travel. And I actually have like a list of countries that I want to go to.
Cool. Do you mind me asking, I think you kind of answered it there, but what you miss most about Russia?
It's a combination of things. I miss my friends. I really miss the language. I love Russian language, and just not being able to speak it. I mean, I speak it at home, obviously, but it's not the same when you speak with your friends. And, I do Zooms and I talk with them over messages and all of that. But definitely that, and then nature. Absolutely. I just miss that. And then, yeah, I think that's it,
Yeah. Cool.
It's US is very different from Russia, and, economically and, politically and all of that. It's, US is definitely much better, but it doesn't take away from the fact that, Russia will always be my home, and, just my kind of the place where I belong.
Yeah. Wonderful. Final question that I ask all of my guests, and I love asking you this question now because I would love to ask you again in a few years and see if your answer changes. But when did your exploration to diving deeper into your own soul first begin, and how has it evolved since then?
So earlier that I said that our journeys are really similar to each other. I was always the one with nature. As a kid, I would talk to the trees, and just my favorite thing to do was go to our country house. We were living in the Moscow downtown, but we had a country house which was like 100 miles, I'm not sure, away from the city. And it was really like nature. And every morning and for sunrise and sunset, I would go to this forest, and I would drive on a bike, and it was beautiful, and I always went alone, and it was just amazing. So that's when I kind of started to get into it. Religion was never really forced upon me. Like my mom never forced me, I'm not. And so my mom always also explored different religions like Buddhism and spirituality and all of that, but I never really got into it with her. And then when I came here, like I said, I was in a dark place. About 2 years ago, I found this blogger. Her name is Missy. She's from Hawaii, and she's a spiritual coach, a Reiki healer, and she does tarot cards. And I just fell in love with her. She is very straight to the point, she's very like alive, so to say, and she's really funny. And so I really looked for guidance from her. And it really helped me to, realize where I wanted to be. So I think that's when my really like actual journey started and got me where I am today.
I love that. That's one of, honestly, when using social media with intention and podcasts and blogs and everything like that, I just love our ability to share our truth, share our messages, and then to receive the information. And really, there's just so much inspiration out there. And especially when you connect with individuals really strongly like that. Jordan Younger with the Balanced Blonde, she has been just so incredible for me, and looking up to her and then connecting with her and everything like that. She will be coming on the podcast in 2021. Putting it out there for the universe. Yes, it's going to happen. Yeah. So I love that so much. Do you know what Missy's handle is? I'm curious. I can always look her up after this, but.
Oh, yes. So it's XI_Missy_XI.
Cool. I'll have to check her out. That's awesome. So fun. I love it. Well,
Yes.
Alice, this was so much fun. I loved getting interviewed by you. You had such incredible questions, and I truly mean that. I'm really excited to re-listen to this conversation. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to be a part of this. This is my first podcast, so this was definitely an experience, but I would love to do this again sometime.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm now going to ask you one more question before we wrap up, since it was your first experience. How, being just totally honest, because it is like, there's like a whole bunch of emotions that come with it. For me, it was super intimidating my first time. But how was your first experience? What was that like emotional ride for you, I guess you could say?
It was actually amazing. You know, I always feel very calm with you, which I don't with a lot of people. So like that's definitely a big compliment. Thank you for that. And so I really I've learned to like open up to people in like a controlled environment, I guess. So it was really easy. Like your conversation is, you know, very informal, and this is just, you know, us sharing our thoughts with the world and the universe. So it was great.
I love it. Yay. Wow. That was so fun. I hope you all enjoyed it as much as I did. And isn't Alice just the best? I truly love her. She's so great. So thank you all so much for tuning in here with me today. I am truly so grateful. And if you feel called to leave a rating and review, I would love to send you a free gift in exchange. All you have to do is rate and review this podcast, screenshot your review, and DM me on Instagram at lovingyourownsoul. And in exchange, I will send you my free gift. Plus, we get to connect, which is another reason I'm so grateful for this space. I have met so many incredible souls like yourself. And if we haven't personally connected yet, please be sure to reach out. I would love to connect with all of you. And as always, thank you again for tuning in.